What's up, guys? So today we're going to talk about your boy, red-haired Shanks, aka the god of Haki, because after last chapter 1079, if you guys haven't read it, make sure you guys have read that chapter first. Also check out my review on the chapter. But definitely wanted to talk a little bit more about Shanks after this. I've been meaning to do a Shanks video for a little while now. I was going to talk about some Shanks' evil theories and get into a little bit of that. Now, this chapter, I think, kind of pretty much solidified his personality. Shanks has been so mysterious. And I still love to play around with that idea of the possibility of Shanks being the final villain of One Piece. I don't think that that's going to be the case. We know that the whole story is kind of based off of Oda's original one shot, and Shanks was not in that story. His grandfather was the one that gave him the straw hat in that story, but basically that was supposed to be Luffy's mentor. There were a clear difference between good pirates and evil pirates, and we've kind of already seen that line drawn in the story of One Piece itself. Obviously it's clear that Blackbeard is the major threat along with the world government, but you never know. Pirates are pirates, and they can pretty much do whatever they want. Throughout the story, Oda's trying to sprinkle in little bits and pieces, and has given us an idea of how strong potentially Shanks can be. And for the most part, I think a lot of people have misjudged it because of the fact that we have never seen him really do anything. He has no feats other than pulling up to Marineford and stopping the war. The initial moment when Luffy met him and he did the Conqueror's Haki to scare off the... in the first half of the story, that was the only time we kind of had any type of usage of Conqueror's Haki. So we were like, okay, Shanks is definitely on another level, but it was kind of confusing because he lost his arm. So, it's later on you kind of understand that he did it on purpose. It was something that he kind of wanted to inspire Luffy and also let Luffy know the sea is very dangerous for a kid. Anything can happen, even to someone as strong as me. Not going to really get into the arm debate too much, but clearly, after reading last chapter, you can see him being one arm, two arm. It doesn't matter. Shanks is really that dude. Part of the reason why I wanted to make this video, I always kind of wanted to respond to a lot of the comments that I got. This is going back from last year when I made a top 30 video and I had Shanks number 1. I always felt like Shanks was the strongest character in the series, at least alive. I didn't really contemplate whether going back and forth about whether he was stronger than Roger. But I think after this chapter, for me, it's kind of definitive. Shanks is top 1 in the series. I think he surpassed Roger already. And, he kind of did a little ode to Roger, using the Kamusari on Kid. So Oda wanted to let us know, like, hey, don't forget that he was the apprentice of the Pirate King. He was always going to be next in line for him to be the one to be the greatest, the strongest pirate in the verse. So, Oda kind of wanted to flex that a little bit. He finally gave us what we were looking for, and he completely used a super popular character to do it. So, I apologized. I don't know why I apologized, but I had apologized to a lot of the Kid fans because I felt bad, I guess. Because I'm not a huge Kid fan, but I kind of always saw the writing on the wall that Kid wasn't going to be that relevant of a character very far into the story. But I would have thought at least he would have made it to the final war. I thought, all of the pirates, all of the major pirates, all the pirates from the worst generation were going to have, some type of involvement in it, whether they would have been like an ally to Luffy, or would have been an ally to whoever, was going to be against Luffy, an ally to Blackbeard, basically. I thought that was crazy that Kid just got completely obliterated, and I'm gonna assume that he's removed from the story. It kind of makes a lot of sense, Oda kind of checking off these boxes and kind of removing characters because there's so many characters left in the story, and now that a lot of characters are being eliminated, we're kind of finally getting a chance to see characters like Shanks get their time to shine. So I think this was just a little taste of what we're going to see from Shanks. I think we will get to see Shanks go all out. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later in the video, but I kind of just wanted to show how great Oda's writing is with using or not using, I should say, because it was the lack of Shanks' involvement in the story that showed how powerful he was, at least to me. I kind of always saw that, being that we don't see Shanks a lot, like we're seeing everybody else, all these other warlords and Yonko and blah blah blah. And we're seeing all these other characters, but Oda purposely kept holding back the cards of Shanks because this is why. Because he was final boss level. Like, he's basically the only people that will be able to mess with Shanks is going to be Blackbeard, potentially Akainu. I've gone back and forth about that too, about the strongest admirals, if they're going to be at the level of a Yonko. I think Akainu probably would have been on the level, around the level of Kaido and Big Mom, but I think Shanks is just above that. He's, shown that with his advanced levels of every form of Haki. We know that he has advanced armament, advanced observation, and advanced forms of Conqueror's Haki. He used Conqueror's Haki in Wano to scare away Green Bull from miles or whatever he was away. He leapt from his ship in this recent chapter and was knocking out Kid's crew, who I would assume were at least, somewhat strong. We actually did see how powerful Shanks' Conqueror's Haki was when he pulled up to Whitebeard's ship. Yeah, there were so many of the fodder pirates that were just being knocked out. The main guys were not getting knocked out, though, which is why I'm like, Kid's crew, they gotta be weak as hell because they're like falling apart and they're supposed to be, the stronger fighters. Anyway, once again, Shanks, I feel like, was holding back a lot of times. Also going to touch a little bit on Blackbeard. This is mainly about Shanks, but I definitely want to touch a little bit on Blackbeard because this is a parallel. We've been seeing that throughout the story between Shanks and Blackbeard. Blackbeard was the one that gave Shanks that scar. So to me, Blackbeard's stocks also go up because if Shanks was able to have the future sight to see what Kid was going to do, and he also has the ability, this is movie spoilers, but from the volume 4 billion, we find out that Shanks also has the ability to cancel out other people's future sight. Shanks' Hakis are just on another level. We've never seen anybody like him, which is why, to me, he's top 1 in the series, dead or alive. Roger's number 2. Shanks is the Goldie Roger of this era, and Luffy is gonna be the next. So Luffy is gonna surpass. It makes sense. Luffy would need to surpass somebody who's alive, and we need somebody to be that gauge to show us what Roger's level would be at if Roger was still alive. So, Shanks is definitely a lot more laid back. What if Shanks really did have an alternate agenda and he really does have some type of evil? I doubt it because he pretty much spent his whole life with the Roderick Pirates, but it's potential. I think it's very, very, very likely that Shanks is a celestial dragon. We know that he was found in God Valley, and he's of the Fingerland family. We don't know much about that family, but I think it's safe to say that they're most likely celestial dragons. Shanks is a celestial dragon, and that's the reason why the Gorosei allowed Shanks to come into Wano. Now, the pirate that I think Shanks was talking about, we've gone back and forth. We may get this clarification in the anime for them to say that it's Luffy, because after he left, that's when the Gorosei start having the conversation potentially about Luffy. I used to always think it was Blackbeard, and it still potentially can be Blackbeard, because once again, looking at how strong Shanks is, Blackbeard's got to be right up there. Whether he's as strong as him or not, even if he's not as strong as him, he was able to fight with him and survive and leave Shanks with a scar. And I don't see any scars on Blackbeard. So I don't know if Blackbeard has any crazy amounts of Haki, but his double fruits are already broken. We know that much. But Blackbeard must have either done something underhanded to catch Shanks and scar him. Still don't know how that would work, unless he also has the ability to cancel future sight, or he's just really that, just that strong. To wrap this up, I wanted to kind of give my thoughts and my theories on what I think is going to happen with Shanks long term, because as strong as Shanks is, I think Shanks' character is actually set up to die, and that's going to be one of the craziest things in the story. I'm assuming that it's going to be to level up Blackbeard, to hype up Blackbeard, so that when Luffy defeats Blackbeard, he's going to be avenging Ace, Shanks, Whitebeard. He'll be avenging all of them. So I do think, unfortunately, that's, and then plenty of people have talked about that. I think now that we've seen how strong he really is, there's going to be some moment that is going to lead up to that. I don't think Shanks is evil. I think we've got enough of Shanks's character to see that he was not even in the slightest ready to kill Kid until he saw what Kid was capable of. So he saw Kid was about to kill everyone and was like, nah, this is not happening. We're not having this. And I'm not even going to give you a chance to make another move. Plah! Ended it. Divine departure. Oda wanted to show us he got a lot of done in this one chapter. Showed us how strong Shanks is. Showed us how much he's grown. He also wanted to remind us that he's at the level of Roger because he's using Roger's ability. He's also got Griffin. I'm assuming Griffin is one of the supreme grade blades. You guys can correct me if it's 100%. I don't remember off the top of my head. Yeah, I just, he wanted to show us, and he used to duel with the Mihawk. So definitely, his blade is definitely on another level. But yeah, guys, let me know what you guys think. If you guys think Shanks is going to survive towards the end of the story, let me know where you guys would rank Shanks overall. Do you think he is stronger than Goldie Roger at this point in the story, or do you think Roger is still the strongest pirate ever lived? Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. It's your boy Gay D Champ.